Hi guys, so here Anwari here, co-founder of Sublime Trading, here with your daily update for the UK and US indices for Monday the 4th of May. Right guys, hope you had a lovely weekend. So just a quick catch up with what happened in April. We had a bullish month across the indices, slightly more bullish on the US indices compared to the UK index, but that's normal. US tends to lead the way and then the UK tends to follow. Now, what we have to be a little bit careful of though is whether this bullish revival that we're seeing is going to lead onto a full-on bull market, or whether this is just a temporary pullback in the huge declines we've had since the start of the year based around COVID-19, and then a continuation back to the downside. There's bullish factors and bearish factors across the board. If you look across social media, you'll see people who are 100% bullish or 100% bearish. It's just a very dangerous stance to have at the moment, given that the market has both bullish and bearish factors. What we're looking for are environments that are more bullish and that have a higher chance of going on to a full-on bull recovery, or we want to establish bearish markets where the market has a higher chance of just going on to new declines. So for now, we really want to be standing aside until we get more confirmation. So let's get into the chart and have a deeper look at what happened last week, end of last week, and what we could expect throughout the rest of this week. So guys, if you're new to these daily updates, then I recommend starting with the recording that's pinned to the top of our Facebook page, so you get a really good understanding of this setup that I have here in front of us. Okay, so this is our 3-screen setup. We have the monthly in the top left, weekly in the top right, and our daily chart down here across the bottom. The first chart we will look at is the Footsie 100. Now we know that April found support at the low of February 2016. Here's that bullish month for April, although the bears did come in, start pushing price back down towards the end of April, and we can see that momentum has continued, that bearish momentum has continued at the start of May, and that's because price is finding resistance at that 6,000 round number. Now what we see is price in between resistance and support, and so this is why we really want to apply patience here and wait for price to either break above resistance or break below support. As long as price remains inside this area of consolidation, there isn't any clear trend direction, and this is why you don't want to have a strong bullish or a strong bearish bias, because you can easily get whipsawed in and out of positions and be faced with losses that can be avoided with a little bit of patience. And remember, patience is a really important skill for a good investor. Now, if you move across to the weekly time frame, price is below the 200 moving average and the 50 simple moving average. This is the pullback. So remember, price obviously has been in this decline since the start of the year due to COVID-19. We're now in this pullback, and we can see that price is finding resistance. What we want to now wait and see is whether this is short-term resistance before I move. This is short-term resistance before I move to the upside, or whether this resistance is going to lead on to a full-on move back to the downside, particularly if we see that break below low of March. If we move down to the daily time frame, price is below the 200 moving average, it's below the 50 simple moving average, but look where it's finding support at the 20 simple moving average. So there is support below price, there is resistance above price. This is really where we want to see price break out either to the upside or to the downside, and that's when we can then start getting an idea of where price is likely to move in the next days and weeks ahead. Okay, let's move on to the US indices, starting with the Dow Jones. So we know that we had a bullish month for April. Price closed above the low of 2019, which is acting as support. This is this red line going across the screen, and we can see May has been slightly bearish so far. Very early days in May. We want to see, as May progresses, as we progress through May, what price is intending to do. If we move across to the daily time frame, we can see that price is trading around the 200 moving average. It's below the 50 simple moving average. So is this going to act as resistance and a move to the downside, or will this act as support and strength back to the 50 simple moving average? If we come down to the daily time frame, price is below the 200 moving average, but the 50 and the 20 simple moving averages are acting as support. So again, it's too early to say. I've seen reports out there or analysts and traders out there saying, yes, I'm definitely bearish. It's a wrong stance to have because we can see this bullishness coming in. This is just a temporary move to the downside. This bearishness that came in on Thursday and Friday. We saw this bearishness, but if we look at the trend, bullish, we have this move to the upside, then a pullback, another move to the upside, then a pullback, another move to the upside, then a pullback, with the 20 simple moving average acting as support. So we need to see price actually weaken through these levels to suggest weakness, or if we get a breakout above the high of April, then we could see strength to the 200 moving average. Similar sort of setup on the S&P 500. Again, bullish April, price in between the low and the high of 2019. We can see a little bit of bearishness coming in May, but that's because the 3,000 round number is acting as immediate resistance. If we move across to the weekly time frame, we can see prices above the 200 moving average but below the 50 simple moving average. So this is where we can see price finding resistance, as that's coupled with the 3,000 round number. And again, similar setup on the daily, price below the 200 moving average but finding support at the 20 and the 50 simple moving average. So we've got resistance above price, we've got support below price. What we want to see is a breakout either to the upside, or we want to see support levels being broken. If we move to the Nasdaq, now the Nasdaq really leading the way. April closed above the high of last year with the 9,000 round number still acting as resistance, and we can see with May is now trading below the high of last year. If we move across to the weekly time frame, price above the 200 and the 50 simple moving average. So it is looking very bullish on the weekly time frame with a little bit of weakness now coming in. But if you look at the weakness, it's small in comparison to the bullishness. So we don't want to make a decision just as yet on whether we're bullish or bearish. We need to see confirmation. Come down to the daily time frame, price above the 200 moving average, it's above the 50 moving average, it's above the 20 moving average. We can see a little bit of weakness coming in, but again, bullishness, a lot of bullishness coming in. These sort of moves against trend are all part and parcel of the overall trend structure. We can't expect price to just print green bar after green bar. So now what we want to see again is whether this high of April is broken to suggest strength, or whether these moving averages will be broken and we start seeing weakness back to the downside. It really is a waiting game to let price dictate. Okay, let's move on to the S&P 500 Mini so we get an idea of what we could be seeing through today. Starting with the monthly, we can see a bit of bearishness coming in. If we move across to the weekly time frame, price above the 200 and the 50 simple moving average, price above the 200 but below the 50 simple moving average. You can see where price is finding resistance. And on the daily time frame, price is below the 200 moving average but finding support around the 20 and the 50 simple moving averages. Not much in terms of price action so far today. We will need to see how the day ends to get a much clearer idea of the candlestick. Remember, the institutional money comes in towards the end of the day, so always better to apply patience, let all the intraday movement play out, and then get a much clearer idea of the end of day candlestick, which will tell us what we could be seeing through tomorrow and the rest of the week. At the moment, we are seeing a little bit of bullishness. There's been a gap down, a little bit of bullishness though, so the market could really go either way at this point. So we'll be standing aside. We'll be keeping a clear eye on the markets. And once we get a clear trend direction, then we can start looking to place trades and positions on some of the better looking stocks. Okay, that's me for today, guys. Please like, comment and share. Let's get these videos out there, get people understanding how to use the indices correctly. And I will see you on tomorrow's recording.